So today we're going to get into the Lieutenant Dan story, which is probably one of the craziest, insane rise, fall, and then rises in like a 24 or 48 hour time span, because Lieutenant Dan, aka Joseph Malinowski, has gone super viral, but with that comes a shit ton of crap that most people will never have to deal with in their life, and you don't want to deal with.
They're trying to say that you are guilty of sexual assault.
Year that he spent in prison for beating a EMT with a violin.
Right, he is in fact not a convicted sexual predator.
This Lieutenant Dan story is crazy. I mean, so much conflicting, so much misinformation, so much new information. I mean, I'm talking death threats.
Numerous death threats and thousands of hate messages and threats to my family, friends, and loved ones. So
I'm talking the daughter coming out.
Yes, I'm his fucking daughter. I'm his daughter, and I've had to keep tabs on that man for 10 years trying to make sure that he's alive.
You know, exposing new information about him, some damaging information, and some very concerning information as well.
That y'all blowing him up and he's gonna be dead before he can even fucking enjoy that boat and stuff, because look at him.
And then she gets attacked, the guy who did the original fundraiser gets attacked, Lieutenant Dan gets attacked, Lieutenant Dan then drops the N-bomb on stream.
But if you want to get back into my good graces, you're gonna have to take time. Hey, a lot of work, and it's gonna be hard. Once I cut you off, you're done, nigga. Sorry.
I mean, it is just all over the place, and so many people are getting caught up in this whole disaster.
I really was rooting for Lieutenant Dan, but I just watched the video and baby, he said the N-word. I don't play them games.
Did you know that man has over 150 different charges against him?
It's a really sad situation. It started out super sweet and cute, but now I think it's snowballing into something that is not going to be good, and people's true colors are going to come out, and this is going to end very bad. The
Lieutenant Dan story really shows all the benefits and drawbacks of social media in just one case in one 24-hour span. That, you know, if people love you, great, you're getting all this money, but the moment that turns against you, you get so much hate. It is crazy, and some people really need to chill. So we're gonna get into all of that, but let's start with the beginning, because who is Lieutenant Dan? So the world was first introduced to Lieutenant Dan by this guy, Terrence Kokanen.
We're in Tampa with the one and only Scottie Pippen, absolute legend,
who had quite a large following on social media himself. He was pretty big on TikTok. And the moment he started uploading the Lieutenant Dan videos, things took off like crazy. He started getting 2 million views on a video, 10 million views on a video, even 30+ million views on a video, which is insane. And that really blasted Lieutenant Dan into social media stardom.
All right, Jay, they're saying 20-foot storm surge.
It can be 120. It doesn't matter. The boat floats. That's the whole thing. Keep the water on the outside of the boat, and the boat will go up with the water and down with the water. That's what we want to do.
Can we please get you into a hotel?
No.
Everybody's been asking, man. We got to get you off this thing.
Listen, the only way I'm going to go to a motel room is if a woman invites me and she's going to stay.
His popularity really started to take off with his plans to stay on the water for the second hurricane, Hurricane Milton. And he started getting picked up by everyone. You know, mainstream media started talking about him, social media influencers started talking about him, and he even got offered a massive deal from Aiden Ross.
we were able to come up. I'm gonna be able to pay for a boat for you. We're gonna get you a nice boat in the range of $50,000 to $100,000. And we're gonna get you a full-time kick deal, which is a live streaming deal where you can stream your entire voyages and all your adventures.
And so people really came together. If you look at the GoFundMe that Terrence set up, people were donating massively. If you look at the top donations, we can see that, you know, anonymous people giving $1,000 per donation.
Someone just donated you $1,000 to the GoFundMe. What are you gonna say to that? Speechless.
Holy shit. That's unbelievable.
And then 500, 500, 500, 300. Like, people were not kidding around. They were donating heavy for someone they had never even met, and they had no idea. Just see this one-legged dude on a boat, and they were just going into strong. Even though his intentions, Terrence's intentions, weren't nefarious necessarily, he did make a huge mistake to put the GoFundMe on behalf of Will instead of Lieutenant Dan's real name. Now, whatever reason he had to do that,
The GoFundMe was set at $2,500, and all was to get him a new boat and maybe some money for some food and a scooter for transportation. It was never supposed to get to where it is now.
Joe has a bank account, but no identification and no way to get in the bank. I mistakenly put the GoFundMe under my friend's name as a way to get the $2,500 out quick and give it to him and be done with it.
If that really was for banking reasons or for getting the money out, he should have mentioned that straight up, because now he creates a new narrative that is just making the whole thing look bad. It makes Lieutenant Dan look like a scammer, like he's having something to hide. It's making Terrence look like a scammer, as if he's hiding something. It's just very, very stupid to do something like that. So you can clearly see that Joseph built a lot of goodwill, a lot of sympathy from a lot of people. However, things started to quickly take a dark turn.
All right, everyone, I just want to come on here and explain what's going on with Lieutenant Dan. And I've been seeing a lot of comments, a lot of misinformation out there. So I just want to come on here and...
There were fake stories floating out there that the police had came and had, forcefully removed him from the boat. Even the mayor went as far as to say, no, he's off the boat, he's safely in a shelter, and that everybody should follow his lead.
The Tampa Police Department this morning just saved Lieutenant Dan. He has been rescued and he is now in a shelter as well. So if we can get Lieutenant Dan to go to a shelter, we can get anybody to do that. Dan is not leaving the boat for the hurricane. He is staying on that boat. There has been many attempts to get him off this boat.
Which was all false. It was all false information, because he stayed on the boat the entire time. Now, that was just stupid false information, but then the false information started to take a very dark turn when somebody tried to do their own, retarded little research, and they found some arrest warrants and some convictions and some serious crimes under the name of Joseph Malinowski. However, that was a dude in his 60s, and so it wasn't this Lieutenant Dan. But they did connect those crimes to him, and somebody then put his mugshots in there trying to sell it. And for a minute, everybody was going crazy thinking that this dude was some sort of pedophile, a sex offender, just an absolute piece of shit. Now, luckily, that quickly got corrected due to the community notes on X, which is a great add-on from Elon. So thank you, Elon, for that.
I would like to submit a formal public apology to Lieutenant Dan. You're right, he is in fact not a convicted sexual predator.
However, even though that got debunked, quickly after, new mugshots were coming out with the correct information showing that, Lieutenant Dan is in fact someone who's been arrested plenty of times. He has over a dozen mugshots. So that looked bad. And one of the most heinous cases that he was involved in was that he was allegedly trying to set a woman on fire. Now, obviously, that's a lot better than the whole, rape 10-year-old child case, but it's still very, very bad. Now, from what I can tell, those charges were eventually dropped, and that most of the cases that he's involved in were all traffic violations and failure to show up in court. So it seems like a dude, and he said it himself, he has a past, abusing drugs, and he's been down on his luck, problems driving without a license, he had problems with not registering vehicles, not having vehicles insured, things like that. So not crazy crimes, but constant interaction with law enforcement, constant interactions with the court, and constantly getting arrested. So when you have that information available, and then people are, and you have bad actors out there, or people who just don't want to do an extra 2 seconds of research, everything just turns to shit. And it shows in this case how bad things can get very, very quickly. But luckily, at least Aiden Ross says that he's still willing to give Dan his 50 to 100K in the choice of a boat. And he also still wants to give him the streaming deal on Kick.
If somebody could show me on the internet where I ever said I was taking back my offer, I never said that. And all you people on TikTok, X is backing me up completely, but all you people on TikTok who are saying that I went back on my word and I said, I'm not giving this guy a deal. No, fuck that, because it's past. Show me where I said it. So then you got people coming up to him in person saying, Aiden Ross, cancel your shit. What do you feel about it?
He came to me. I never went to him. He offered it to me. I never asked for it. So then he turned around and he starts singing about my history. Well, you should have did that before you made the offer.
So Dan is getting his boat and he's getting everything. I'm working myself out with him. We are going to make sure he gets the boat and the money and everything.
Now, during all of this misinformation and chaos that was going on, the guy who kicked this all off, Terrence himself, he was even getting heat because at a certain point, Lieutenant Dan even, somewhat drunk, somewhat high, comes out and he starts saying that he lost control over his TikTok account, he lost control over his GoFundMe, and he basically puts this video out there.
I want you to know that TikTok, I want you to know that the kid too that was helping me and using that video. He stole my TikTok account, and he's the only one in control of the GoFundMe page. So he kept always telling me that I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it. And now they stole my access from my phone, because that's a long story. But anyway, my account JC331, that's no longer my account. Any of the merchandise is not my authority. I'm gonna put a stop to that shit. And I want everybody to know that that's not a bitch little punk. Better come and see me. Better come see me. Or else.
And so tons and tons of hate goes to Terrence, because immediately people started accusing him of keeping the money and not wanting to give it to Lieutenant Dan. So whatever is going on, there is a problem with getting the money to Lieutenant Dan. Now, Terrence did say he's going to give him $7,000 today, or at the time of posting this video. So he is going to get Lieutenant Dan some serious cash.
I have retrieved all the money that was sent to my friend, and I've gotten $7,000 in cash, and which will I be giving to him today.
It is very unwise to give someone who's been homeless, living on the street, who didn't have access to a lot of money, then suddenly give them a large amount of cash. We've seen this time and time again with lottery winners. They all end up dead. It is a realistic problem if someone is poor, if someone is dirt poor, especially if you don't know that person very well. And so giving them a large amount of cash could actually be very dangerous. Now, we didn't know any of that until his daughter came out and set the record straight, or caused even more confusion.
After y'all got a hold of him and now he's high as fuck on all these videos. Is it just weed? Is it just weed? Y'all are gonna fucking put him in the grave. Put him in the grave early for making him famous and giving him this money.
And so she actually makes a good point. But the problem is, later on, she makes another video where she's like, he's not a drug addict. I never said that. I never meant that. And everybody went, huh? Well, what is it? Is he a drug addict or isn't he a drug addict? And she sort of keeps going back and forth between it, but she's just struggling to really get her point out. And so from all the information I could gather right now, it seems as if Lieutenant Dan has been one of those classic cases of the American healthcare system where he had, according to her at least, cancer at one point. We all know he's missing a leg, so the leg had to be amputated as well. He's had other issues, other health issues, and for all his health issues, he has been on prescription medication. Now, we all know that a lot of people that are struggling with homelessness and are living on the street, and we can see all those people that are addicted to drugs on the street, a lot of them came from prescription medication, got addicted, and then turned to a very, very dark path. And Lieutenant Dan could have very well be one of those. So it wasn't necessarily that he was taking recreational drugs to start out with, but that his whole life unraveled because of his prescription medication. So unless some new information comes out, I would say, Lieutenant Dan, have fun on your journeys. Make sure that Aiden pays you, because that little shit has a habit of ducking deals. So make sure you get that money in writing and in your actual bank account, and then, have a great time setting sail to all of these, to a bunch of wonderful places. So take care for now. Peace.